What does this say to us?
Yeah, I need to see the real data, but the breakdown. But the little I've seen so far, the single-family permits are at least up a little bit. So there's one piece of half-decent news in there. I don't think you can focus too much on the starts data, given we've just had a hurricane pass through the Carolinas. That's probably distorted some of the data there. That being said, when you look at the bigger picture, it doesn't look great on the housing side. It's remarkable at this point in the cycle.
Exactly. Why is that? We hear again and again how strong the economy is, GDP growth, unemployment, indicator after indicator, and yet housing seems soft. What would account for that?
And autos.
Well, I think the tax reform elements were a major giveaway for the corporate sector, the supply side of the economy. On the other side, the impact, particularly on the SALT side of things, the state and local tax deductions, I think has had a major impact on the housing side of things. I would have said, looking at this maybe a year ago, that housing was in maybe the fifth innings of a 9-innings baseball game, as it were. It's looking quite mature here. I'm very surprised. I think there's ultimately going to be a pickup again, but maybe we're probably going to have to wait for it, maybe 6 months' time, maybe a year even.
Can we continue to talk about a strong U.S. economy with housing and auto sales rolling over?
Normally we can't. Those are two of the best real sector leading indicators out there. Normally housing starts a fantastic leading indicator on a 6-month lead time. This time around, I think probably not really. I think there are other elements that are going in there. Housing is probably, in residential real estate, is probably going to remove about 0.1% from GDP. So it's not big enough to really get the economy ticking down.
So Mike, is this an aberration, or is this a yellow light flashing on the dashboard when it comes to housing as well as autos?
I think it's a slowdown, and I think it's going to pick up again. I think that in terms of housing, you just haven't had the big expansion, the big explosion like you had in the last cycle. And so I think we're seeing a pause here. I think housing prices just went up too far, too fast. Lack of supply, demand starting to come back, wages picking up for a worker, so getting more interested in moving into houses, and you just don't have enough supply at the low end. So I think that you're seeing a pause here. I think it's going to pick up. It could take 6 months, it could take 12 months, but you haven't had the big excesses that you had in the last cycle, so I don't think that we're going to see a big decline here.